What is up, everyone? Hello and welcome to ROG Pulse, your inside look at what's happening behind the scenes here at the Republic of Gamers. And today we're going to be doing a part 2 of our Q&A about this guy, the ROG Ally X, which just arrived on my doorstep moments ago, like just in time for the show. You'll love to see it. And, you know,
I hate to see it because mine isn't here yet. And I'm closer to the office. How is mine taking a day longer than yours? You're on the other side of the country.
Yeah, I know. It's great. It's glorious because I'm clearly more important than you. So we're just going to jump in and open this guy. This is the Ally X. This is what we're talking about all day today. And the packaging you can see is very similar to the original Ally. It did have plastic on it. I took the plastic off just to expedite things here. But,
yeah, so today is our Q&A sesh, guys. We had so many questions we couldn't contain it all in one video, so we're back here for another round. Oh, look at that.
Fresh plastic.
Look at those big triggers. That's my favorite part.
Oh.
The peel is the best.
The unwrapping. The unraveling. It's a beautiful thing. The Ally X in all its glory. We've got the dual Type-C ports on the top, the new SD card slot spot, power button, aux jack right here, bigger triggers, bigger handhelds. I could grab. Do we want the comparison? Or do we want to just keep rolling?
Sure.
All right.
Well, I did a comparison last time. You can go ahead and compare it while I kind of walk people through what's going on today. Okay. So, guys, last time, some questions we just didn't have time to get to. Other questions we had to wait for answers from elsewhere in the company. And in other cases, we just didn't have time to get through it all. So today we will try to get through as much as we can. That said, same things apply as last time. So some questions we still aren't able to answer for one reason or another. If you're asking questions live, we may not get to them all. And a lot of the questions I'm already seeing in chat, we've already answered in our previous streams. We're not going to give answers to the same questions today. So go back and check out those earlier streams for the answers we're trying to dedicate today to questions we have not answered yet. Also, there it is. Do not forget about our giveaway to celebrate this two-part Q&A. We have been running a giveaway all week with $2,500 in Games Planet money. So head to the link in the description to check that out. You have 2 more days to enter. On Saturday night, it ends. So check that out. Get your entries in. Get some games for your new or old Ally. Whatever you're doing.
Or just your PC. Yeah. Yeah.
Or just your
That's
PC.
The beauty of the Ally is it's just PC gaming, right? Get games for everything.
It is. That's why I love it. Pick up where I left off with my cloud saves. Okay.
So just the one thing that I think changed with the unboxing experience with the Ally X is, how do I get this out of here?
We actually had a question about the stand. We're going to answer this later, but yeah, let's show off the new.
So we provide these free stands and we provide, ways to 3D print them as well. They're just cardboard.
We did last year. I'm not sure about this year yet, but last year was just one stand. This year
that model still exists though. If you want to create,
for last year's,
so just to show you the 3D printed version, that's this. This is the 3D printed stand of the original Ally stand that comes in the box, but now there's actually 2 of them. It's the same thing. It's still cardboard, but it's still an option if you just wanted.
But 2.
Yeah, there's 2 of them. You just snap it apart in 2.
So if you have 2 allies,
boom,
stack them back to back.
Or maybe you got 2 locations where you use your Ally.
Actually, I do have 2 locations, so that actually is pretty handy.
Yeah, so pretty great. But that, my friends, is the Ally X, and I'm intending to get mine all set up tonight to play Elden Ring on it tomorrow. So look forward to that.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm jumping the gun on the questions.
That's okay. You can start. I said everything I needed to say. We're going to start with questions from our Discord, but we're going to take some of your live questions during a break about halfway through the show. So let's start with some of the questions we got from Discord. Hit it, Jake.
Alrighty. The Safe asks, why weren't Hall effect sticks used in the Ally X? Will they be considered for future Ally iterations?
Okay. So a lot of people asked this, and I knew people were going to ask about this. So here's the thing about Hall effect sticks. As we entered the planning process for what eventually became the Ally X, we knew that we were going to replace the sticks. That was a really popular request. People wanted tighter sticks with a bit more durability, right? Oh, and by the way, speaking of, one thing I didn't mention in our announcement stream is that the stems themselves have also been upgraded on the joystick. So the stems on the original Ally are just ABS plastic. On the new one, the stems, the middle part, are made out of palm. So they should feel smoother against the RGB rings around the sticks. Nice little upgrade there.
God, I'm just holding Ally X.
But anyway,
so much better. Oh.
In choosing the new stick module, we chose to go with high quality calibrated ALP sticks that are rated for 5 million cycles, right? So that particular model that we're using on the Ally X is really high durability. And maybe you can see where I'm going here. It's cost effective. Now remember from our discussion last stream, what cost effective means in this context. It doesn't mean it's cheap for us. It means it gives you good bang for your buck on the device you buy, because every added cost that we put into it gets passed on to you, the consumer. Mm-hmm. And like everything else, we have to think about what most users want and are willing to pay for. So now you, the person watching this stream and asking questions about Hall effect sensors, you're probably a pretty tech-savvy individual. And you're probably thinking, I'd gladly pay more for Hall effect sensors. And I'd pay more for X and Y and Z, right? And then in your head, you've got this like balls-to-the-wall Ally that you would definitely pay $1,200 for. But not everyone is a tech-savvy enthusiast like you and me, right? In fact, most people aren't. And we're not just selling to hardcore enthusiasts. We're selling to a wide market. And the fact of the matter is, most of that market doesn't know or care what Hall effect is. And they're not going to understand why this mythical, like red-lined, everything super top-end Ally is more expensive. So making a handheld that contains the absolute, maxed out specs in every single component just doesn't make sense for our current goals with this device. And even if we bring this back around to just Hall effect sticks, it doesn't make sense to increase the cost of the device for something that only a small percentage of people will know or care about. The same goes for like trackpads, for example. Now, I mean, it's kind of like asking why every car doesn't come with turbo and $5,000 brakes in every bell and whistle, because like turbo and $5,000 brakes are better, right? They're the best. But the people who want those things usually will mod those things in themselves. So here we go. This is the second half of the answer. For the stock version of the product, yes, we want reliable, workhorse, cost-effective parts that are going to last a long time. That's what the majority of people want and need. But the beauty is that many of these are upgradable parts. We built the Ally that way on purpose. So if you are an enthusiast, you can kind of hot rod your Ally in multiple ways, right? If third parties see a market for something like Hall effect sticks on the ROG Ally X, they will make them and you can buy them and whatever other parts you care about, and then upgrade the device yourself. And I'm already aware in this particular example of third-party Hall effect sticks that should be in the works for folks like you. So we aren't offering them stock, but you can definitely put them in and make that a part of your total Ally experience. And I'm sure some of the Danger Zone folks in the Ally community are working on plenty of other mods for this imaginary balls-to-the-wall Ally as well. So there's that. As for the second half of the question, will they be considered for future Ally iterations? Nothing is certain. Nothing is impossible. Some things are unlikely, but I can't really tell you which things are which until that future arrives, or at least until it gets closer.
Alrighty. Very good. Very good. Moving on. Can the ROG Ally X sticks be swapped into the original Ally? How about the battery?
So most of these parts are not really officially meant to be cross-compatible. The sticks, for example, use completely different daughter boards. Like if you look at the insides, like it's totally different size and shape and everything. So that's probably not going to work. Now that said, for things like this, we generally leave it to the modding community to dig into and figure out what's possible and kind of what lengths they want to go to do those things. We want the Ally to be moddable and upgradable, but there are certain things that, it's not, we're leaving it up to third parties in the modding community to figure out. We'll make it as kind of easy to dig into as we can, and the rest is up to you.
Alrighty. Can I pop my ROG Ally SSD into an Ally X and have it just work? Are 2230 drives compatible?
So we got a lot of questions about SSDs in the Ally X. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get answers to everything just yet. So we still have some testing that we need to do on our end for some of this. What I can say is that, like, in the simplest form, like electrically, a 2230 drive is going to work fine, right? It's the same socket. But you may need an adapter to screw it down into the 2280 mount in the Ally X. As for, like, is it going to just work? I don't know yet how Windows and Armory Crate will respond to that, right? Generally, when you do that on a Windows machine, like, it'll kind of check for driver incompatibilities and do like an automatic kind of process in the background. But I generally don't like to officially recommend that. Like, it might work fine. I don't know. But like officially, use Cloud Restore on your new drive if you want, or now you can copy your game files over with an external drive and let Steam like repair them. There are a bunch of guides out there on the internet for that, and that's like really the part that would take the most time anyway. So like that, I would certainly recommend. But there are some small differences. It's the same platform, right? Same Z1 Extreme, but there are some small differences. Like the microcontroller unit is different, and I don't know how those driver incompatibilities are going to be handled. We may have some other ways to migrate some of your data, but like I said, I don't have all of the answers to this yet. Stay tuned. I know that's not a full answer. Some of the answers today may just be me saying I don't have a full answer yet. Because I want to address the fact that you asked it, even if we haven't done all of the necessary testing yet. It's been a busy couple weeks around here
for everyone, I think, here at ASUS, but that's that's why we don't have all the answers, because it's very busy launching a new product. But anyways, Axolotl asks, is the RAM upgradable?
Nope. Not easily user upgradable. Only the storage is kind of plug and play. With super compact devices like this, using standard RAM sticks just isn't very feasible, right? It would take up way too much space. So the RAM chips are soldered directly onto the motherboard. But we did put 24 gigs of RAM in this model, which should be plenty for most users, and kind of negate that need to upgrade anytime in the super near future. So no, but hopefully you'll be okay with the 24 gigs.
Yeah. I mean, 24 gigs is a solid upgrade, so I'm stoked for it myself. From Vino V, how many hours of playtime can we expect from the new battery?
So this is another one of those questions I don't have a full answer to, but I want to explain a little bit about why. I've also seen some people in chat asking like, hey, what about some performance benchmarks? When are we going to get performance benchmarks? We're still testing a lot of this stuff. When you make a product, right, you have to wait until you have the final version of the hardware and the software to do that testing to get more numbers you can actually market, right? Because you don't want to create numbers with some early version of something,
right,
and then all of a sudden
even this, it says this is a sample, and that might be hard to read, but this is still not the final version exactly.
So like when Jake starts streaming with this tomorrow, he's not going to be able to show the exact FPS numbers on it, because it's, again, like not the final version. So they're still doing that battery testing. We're still waiting to do our performance testing for numbers we can actually publish, and not like be under danger of false advertising and things like that. Now, that said, for the battery, I'm sure you can probably estimate a ballpark figure if you take the original Ally and extrapolate the fact that we doubled the size of the battery, right? But it's just that. It's a ballpark, right? I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be exactly double, because I don't know. There are other changes to the device that may keep it from being 1-to-1. So as the manufacturer, like, we can't claim a figure before we test it with the final unit, demonstrate the conditions in which we got that number, all of that stuff. So we're still finishing that up. But we will have more of those types of figures on the product page soon. I'm hoping within the next few weeks, but we'll kind of see as they pop up. But they'll be on that main Ally X product page. And I'm sure some of the smart members of our community can make some decent predictions based on other stuff that they know.
Yeah. Okay, next up, does the larger battery allow for more power on the Z1 Extreme? If the original Ally is a 30-watt maximum, can this one do, say, 45 watts because of the bigger battery?
I couldn't remember who asked this, so I didn't put their name in there. I searched, but I couldn't find the question. But this was a really interesting and very unique question. But the answer is no, not really. That's not exactly how it works in this case. So a larger battery doesn't necessarily give you the freedom to do higher power delivery on its own, right? On a compact device like a laptop or handheld, the maximum amount of power you can give to the chips is actually more dependent on the thermal capacity of the device. That is how well we can get the device to cool itself, because the more watts you push, the hotter the internals get. So, when we build a laptop, we'll say, okay, we want it to be this thin. This is our budget, right? Because we want it to cost this much. So here's the thermal solution that we can build that fits those parameters, that can fit into a device this thin for this much money. And this thermal solution can handle sustained total power of like 200 watts or something like that, right? And so then the engineers will adjust the CPU and GPU power to fit within that envelope. That is why, for example, if you buy a Strix SCAR laptop with a 4080 and a Zephyrus G14 with a 4080, even though they have the same GPU, the Strix has bigger heat sinks and thus can handle more thermal load and thus has higher wattage to the GPU and thus higher performance, right? So since we're using a pretty similar form factor for the Ally and the Ally X, the TDP is going to be the same or very similar to the original Ally. The bigger battery doesn't allow us to push that any farther. We would have had to make the Ally bigger and have a different thermal solution for it. We did upgrade the thermal solution, but we also shrunk a lot of it. So there's a trade-off there. And there's a question about that later. So we'll talk about that more in a little bit.
Cool. Yeah, all makes sense. Okay, next question is, why did you include such a cheap stand in the box? This guy. Why not include a real stand or a case or something else?
Yeah, so I've seen a few people talk about this before, and some people have said what I'm about to say, which is that I think when we developed the packaging, we had the opposite thinking that I think some of you guys are assuming we had. We weren't thinking, let's include a stand, but let's make it as cheap as possible. Like that, what we thought was, it would be a cool way to make some of the packing material reusable. If we cut a divot in it, it could be used as a stand, right? Like that's something we've actually done on a few different products, not necessarily a stand, but like just done clever things with the packaging to make it like reusable in some way, right?
So that it's not just
and like Jake mentioned earlier, like Jake mentioned earlier, we also offered 3D printed models for that same stand if you wanted to make it out of some other material. I don't know if we're going to do that this time, but I'm sure the community can come up with something there too, right? But like it was just a cool way to make the box a bit more like eco-friendly while you wait for whatever third-party dock or stand you want to buy if you want to do that. Now, for what it's worth, I'm still using that same cardboard stand that came with my original Ally that I got like over a year ago. It's still sitting where my Ally lives 1 year later. It's held up pretty well. Now, to address why we didn't include more accessories in the box, some of you who've been watching these Q&As probably already know exactly where I'm going with this, but it all goes back to that cost benefit per user discussion. If you buy an Ally and it comes with a case, it's going to cost a bit more. But, that's potential value for the user. Like, oh, look at all the stuff I got in the box. But if you don't like the case that we provided or you want a different case, well, now you just paid extra for a case you don't even want, which creates more waste and raises the price unnecessarily. So if we're targeting a $6.99 or $7.99 price point, we want every dollar of our cost budget to go to making the absolute most of the essential stuff that's going to create the best experience for all users. We want it going to really good thumbsticks, a good D-pad, good triggers, like all of that stuff.
A good charger, long charging cable. That's the kind of stuff where you could see things skimped on. If you had a short charging cable, that would... For me, that would be a deal breaker. I love the charging cable that comes with the Ally.
Same. Good point.
Yeah.
By the way, and then you can decide. Sorry, go ahead.
Just on this topic, I just learned that the old 3D print does not fit the Ally X, which makes sense. But I just tested it, and the old scans do not fit the Ally X. So
yeah, I meant to mention that earlier because it's a different thickness.
It makes sense, but it's still good to have the confirmation.
Yeah. So yeah, we didn't include it. It's more cost effective for everyone as a whole who might want a different case to let you for us to put all of that money into the device itself, and then let you, if you want to upgrade parts, buy a stand, buy a case, and that way you get to decide what case you want to buy. And maybe it's not our official case. That's okay. It's your Ally. We think that's a better route than giving you a whole mess of stuff in the box and having a bunch of users basically throw it away.
I agree.
So, all right. I have seen some live questions. Benchmarks when? I don't know yet. I think a couple weeks probably.
Definitely close to the
That's
launch. We're still about a month out.
We are.
Yeah.
We are.
From
It
launch.
is. It is. Yes. For the kind of global launch date. So we talked a bit about this last time. July 22nd for the U.S. and a number of other countries. Some countries may push that back a little bit. I've seen a lot of questions about when's it coming out of my country. Check your local retailers. If they haven't announced it yet, then it's probably not public yet. But keep an eye on them, because when they have pre-orders or when it's on shelf, like that, they'll let you know. So a lot of things need testing. Sounds safe. No. I don't mean like crucial things. I just mean like, what is just testing in the sense of we have to wait to test things to get the exact numbers that we can market, right? That's just
Right.
that's like an ethical marketing thing. It's not like we don't know if it works yet. It's like we don't know what the exact FPS in Elden Ring is until the software is finished. And so we can't market that FPS number until everything is until we have our final.
The software has a
software
final
units.
pass. The hardware has a final pass.
Yeah.
Everything has a final pass. Like, you'd be
It's very
surprised,
likely it's going to be similar.
but you'd be surprised at how many steps of development there are in making a laptop or making a phone or making an Ally. There are many, many, many steps. And like I said, this unit I have right here is also a sample. It is not a final version. It's very close, right? The hardware specs are the same, but we still don't call it final because it's not quite there. But
yep. And this is going to be launching with a very big software update as well.
Yeah.
Would you consider a 99.9 watt hour battery, since that would be the legal limit for TSA? I can't necessarily speak to future products. We consider a lot of things. That's all I can really say about products that don't exist yet. Okay. We answered this one last time. I'm going to skip that one.
Okay.
Will there be a special version of Windows 11 customized for your gaming console? Nothing to announce on that front at the moment. I think a lot of that is really that ball is in Microsoft's court.
Yeah.
We can add things to the Windows installation like Armory Crate SE and stuff like that, but I would assume that from a licensing perspective, we can't just be like, we're going to cut your OS in half and release, that's just not really how it works. But
right. But ACSC 1.5 is a big step in that, new experience.
Oh, for sure.
So that's going to be launching with the Ally X.
It is really seamless in the sense that all of your updates are coming from ACSC. You don't really need to use my ASUS for updates anymore like you did at launch of the original Ally. That's already true on the Ally for the most part, but this is kind of like our coming out party with that. And the other thing, like, there are a lot of other little things in ACSC 1.5. Like, you can from the game library, right? In Armory Crate right now, you can't uninstall games from the game library. You have to go into Windows Add or Remove Programs menu. On the Ally X or an ACSC 1.5, you'll still have to do that just because of the way Windows works. But what we've done is we've added a menu option in the game library. You press X on a game and you click uninstall, and it'll open up that Add Remove Programs window for you, so you don't have to go to the start menu and then like type in the thing to search and find it. Like, there's a quick shortcut. So we're trying to do as much of stuff like that as we can to keep it as seamless as possible. And there's still more things planned for the future, as far as I know, or at least like kind of being talked about. So we'll see.
Okay. I don't know if we have an answer to this next question.
Nope, I don't. So I'm gonna skip that. Guys, I know a lot of you guys are asking about prices in other countries. I don't have any information about prices. Keep in mind, especially when it comes to U.S. prices, in the U.S. we don't include taxes in our prices, but in places like Europe and whatever, you have VAT and you have other costs that go toward like some of the other consumer protections and stuff you have there that we don't have in the U.S. So like, it's not always an apples to apples comparison to be like to compare the U.S. price to something like in Europe. Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, let's move on. Guys, a lot of the questions you're asking we've addressed in previous streams, or they're just questions that we can't answer because they're about future products that we can't announce future products.
So when today's stream is over, if you want to look at our part 1, that's on our YouTube, it's on our Twitch, you can watch that again for any questions that we may not have asked. But
there are timestamps.
Yeah, there are. So
you can find the exact question you want.
Perfect. Yeah, so check the YouTube VOD for that. But we're going to move on here. Our next question is going to actually not be a question, but we're going to dive into some customer service updates.
Yeah. So, okay. First, I've seen a lot of questions about this, so I did want to address it today. If you missed the news this weekend, I'm not going to rehash everything as we would be here for a while, but there are two very important things that if you are curious about our customer service, that you should know. One is that, oh, Jake, I meant to actually have you open up this page on stream. That's my bad. I'm sorry. But I will drop the link in chat. The first thing is that we are overhauling our customer service process in a big way to address all of the feedback that we've gotten recently. And while I could sit here and walk you through everything, or direct you to someone on another video, right? We want to do it transparently through our own site as well, so that you can follow along through every step of the process, because it's not all going to happen overnight. We're doing a lot of different stuff. So if you head over to our US support site, asus.com/us/support, you'll see a new button called Service Enhancement. You can also click this link that I'm putting in chat right now. This is basically, oh, thank you, Jake. You're my man. This is basically a page where we're going to, it's kind of a living document, right? That's going to detail all of the changes we make to our customer service process as we make them. So you can click the dates at the top to skip down to a specific entry, and there will be more dates as we add more entries, right? And so this is going to, so if you scroll down to like the first entry we made down a little further, you'll see just like a bulleted list of the kinds of changes that we're making. And I think most of these also have dates about when they were implemented or when they're going to be implemented. The other important thing that you need to know about customer service are two things. One is this page. Visit this page at any given time. You'll see what we're working on. The other important thing is actually at the top of this page. So if you scroll back up, Jake, if you've gone through the RMA process with us before and you had a negative experience, for example, if you were charged for something that you shouldn't have been or something like that, we have a new email address specifically for these scenarios. It's executivecare@asus.com. Jake, if you scroll down a little bit, there should be a little bit of an email template. There it is. You can send an email to that address with the information shown here, and that email address will fast track you to a rep who will help make things right. Like, our team is really, really focusing right now on making sure everyone is taken care of and happy with their service. So please, 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 if you have had a negative experience in the past, please reach out using this forum. Now, all that said, so it was people question, what about UK support? I only know about North America for now, but I know that there are certain things that are being brought up on a global level, but I can't tell you exactly what or what's happening, because each country handles their own service differently, and so then they have to implement these things themselves too. So there is some global stuff happening at the top to say like, hey, can you guys do this? But we don't. Not all of this necessarily applies to those countries yet. All of the dates and the stuff you see here is North America. Okay, so all of that said, this leads us into our next question, which is of a related nature. What is the status of the microSD card on the Ally and Ally X? We have understandably gotten a lot of questions about the SD card reader on the Ally and the Ally X. And I know the company has been pretty quiet about this for quite some time. Unfortunately, we were just unable to comment due to extraneous factors, but I'm happy to say that I have now been given the go-ahead to shed a bit more light on the current status. So, first, a little bit of context. Many of you have noticed that some Allies have slightly different motherboards on them than others. It's normal for some products to go through revisions over time, right? Like sometimes new components can improve efficiency, or we need to source parts from a different supplier and so on. And like if we source a different part or a part from a different supplier, that goes on and it becomes a new motherboard revision, right? That's fairly common. So over time, we'll end up with multiple board revisions that make their way to a device. And in those board revisions, we can also address cases like this. The community has been very active in helping us identify issues surrounding the Ally's microSD card reader, and our team has been working on it since the very beginning. So here's like a timeline of events kind of as they happen, right? So as soon as the community brought up the issue, our team began investigating it right away. We had a statement at the time that said that. Some people thought there may be a correlation with temperature, so at the time we released a BIOS with steeper fan curves as a precaution. But after that, we started getting RMA units in, and we started crunching the numbers. Now, our data from those early units showed a failure rate in like the low single digits percentage-wise. That, coupled with the fact that the issue is actually quite difficult to reproduce, made it hard for us to narrow down the root cause. So we because we didn't see a drop in failures with the new fan curves, we had to kind of work with our partners and find a different route to finding that root cause, right? So what we did was we provided a more consistent supply of power to the SD card reader on one of our board revisions. From there, we got those new boards out through our repair centers, and then we continued to monitor to see if the failure rates dropped. And we did see a positive improvement. The board revision with the more consistent power to the SD reader did reduce the SD reader's failure rate. And while those boards have been in circulation, we've continued to revise the Ally's board even further based on that successful result. So, with all of that in mind, here's the current status of things as I've been told. If you're experiencing issues with your SD card reader and you RMA your Ally, our team will swap you to the newest board revision to ensure that you're getting the best experience that we can provide. Those boards will be more widely available for RMAs in about 6 weeks. The most recent Ally units coming out of the factory are also using this latest board revision, as is the Ally X, or as will the Ally X when it comes to shelves, right? Now, if your SD card reader is working fine, you don't need to RMA it. A board replacement is only necessary if you're currently having issues, because based on the data we have, many people on those older boards we expect aren't ever going to have issues. But all that said, we know some of you are concerned about what might happen in the future. So in addition to that, to give you more peace of mind, we've also extended the Ally's warranty in North America to 2 full years. That's for the entire device, not just the SD card reader. So if you need to RMA, even past that initial 1-year period, you have that extended warranty backing you up. Now, I know I've seen people asking about outside North America. If you're outside North America and you're already out of your 1-year warranty, I'm told that you can send a message to executivecare@asus.com, that email address I mentioned earlier, and they'll still take care of you up to the end of this year. So we know that there has been a big lack of transparency over this time, and we're sorry that we've left the community in the dark so long, but we hope that this helps provide some insight into kind of how we got here, where we are now, and hope that it shows even when that communication isn't happening, that the people behind the scenes, the company, right, is still concerned about the quality of the devices we're putting out there, and that our goal is to take care of you even if something happens down the line. That is all I have to share on that topic for now. But yeah, if you guys need an RMA, go to an RMA through our site or email executivecare@asus. We will take care of you guys. Let's move on to the next question. The next question is actually repair related as well. So let's
yeah, thanks for the update.
Let's just
on
get
that.
all the repair related topics out of the way.
But yeah, next up we are gonna get a question from Smart Arcade. Where can you buy spare parts for the Ally? Will you collaborate with iFixit?
So right now, I know of at least one site that you can buy spare parts from. In Europe, it's a-accessories.com. Sorry, that's the US site, a-accessories.com. And then for Europe, it's accessories-asus.com. If you search ROG Ally parts, I think they're one of the first results. Those are official partners of ours in the US and Europe.
Cool.
ASUS as a company, we do collaborate with iFixit. I don't believe that they're selling Ally parts at this point in time, but I think they carry some parts for like our laptops and things like that. So like we do have a partnership with them, but not necessarily for this product at the moment. I'm a big fan of iFixit. I actually used to work there. A lot of people don't know that, but good people in that office. Love them. Been a fan of theirs for years, all the way back to my like first MP3 player battery replacement, like when I was in college.
Wow.
Like I've had their tools for a decade. So yeah. Love iFixit.
Next up, with the XG Mobile port gone on the Ally X, will future XG Mobiles be Thunderbolt, or will the XG Station make a return?
So this is one thing I didn't have. I don't have anything to announce on this yet. I know I've seen a lot of questions about XG Mobile and all that stuff. A lot of people have been asking, why did we replace the XG Mobile port? Go back and watch the original announcement stream. We covered that in a lot of detail there. The bottom line is just that way more people wanted USB 4
like
Thunderbolt.
Way more.
Yeah,
not even close.
It was one of those things where you have competing feedback and you have to pick one. And we picked the one that the vast majority of people wanted. As for future Thunderbolt XG Mobiles or an XG Station where you could put your desktop graphics card into an enclosure, that's something we used to have. I don't have anything to announce about that yet. I imagine we probably wouldn't see what happens with that lineup until the next generation of laptops and graphics cards comes our way anyway. I know that's not really an answer, but so many people asked about this that I had to address it. Hopefully we'll have more information to answer this question in the near future, whatever the answer ends up being.
And for everybody asking questions, even in that realm, we hear your questions, we see it, information's getting passed along, and we will, we'll see what we can do in the future. But next up, Daniel asks, is there any difference on the Ally X speakers? This is actually a good question that I never even considered. We didn't talk about it at all during the launch.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually don't know if I knew this during the launch. This was one of those like little fun fact tidbits that I learned at one of the at Computex, right? So yes, the speakers on the original Ally were already so great. I'm surprised they actually felt the need to improve them. But the Ally X model uses bigger chambers for the speakers, so it allows them to go even louder.
Sweet,
pretty cool, nice little bonus.
I can't wait to test them
out. I'm
out.
actually working on, by the way, like fun side note, because so many people have asked about, I mean, I've seen like on Reddit and in Discord people asking about the difference between the Ally and the Ally X, and is it worth the upgrade and all of this stuff? What's different? So I'm actually working on an article, and I'm hoping to include just like a table that just like lists.
Sweet.
Because a lot of this stuff isn't like, some of the specs are obviously like 1-to-1, right? Like this
right.
has 16 gigabytes of RAM, this has 24 gigabytes
right.
of RAM. But in a lot of cases, it's like, well, this has more durable, tighter sticks. It has, more comfortable grips. It has 2 USB. Like there's just a lot of stuff that wouldn't necessarily make it onto a normal spec table. And so I want to make a table that literally just like lays out all of the differences so that you can tell at a glance, like, okay, this is everything that was changed on the Ally X. Here are the things that might be important to me to decide whether it's worth upgrading, or if you're a first time buyer, right, whether I want to go for the Ally X or whether I just want to buy the standard Ally.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that. Keep an eye on the ROG site. Hopefully it will. If you scroll to the bottom, you can see the articles I write. Hopefully it'll appear there soon.
That'll be a great resource. Next up, from Mac GG, can you explain how the cooling can be better even when the cooling system is reduced in size and has smaller fans?
Yeah, this was a cool question too. So there are a few things at play here. Most of this we went through in that initial announcement. So for more details, you can go watch that. But I'm going to kind of list a few of the changes that kind of made this trade-off even out, right? The first is that we made the fans smaller, but the fans have thinner blades than they did before. So while the unit is smaller, they're still able to push a lot of air. The second thing is that we added that new vent along the top with the cutouts in the fan housing. So you get a bit more of like that directed air that targets the areas you want to target. So it kind of makes that cooling a bit more efficient as well. Yeah, there you go. And then third thing, and this one I did not mention in the initial stream. Also, I learned this at the Computex preview. The heat pipes on the Ally X are also a bit thicker than on the Ally, which makes them more efficient at transferring heat without taking up too much space in the device as a whole. So when you combine all of those things together, you can kind of offset the other changes. So you're actually getting slightly like the same cooling performance or better cooling performance at similar acoustic levels. So I hope that kind of answers your question. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's impressive is what it is. Our engineers are really doing something amazing once again, as they always do. Next question is from Drew. Can we expect the Ally 2 to be based off the Ally X model? I assume they mean like the body of the Ally 2.
Yeah, I think they mean is it going to be the same chassis with an upgraded processor or what? Not necessarily. So we talked about this a bit last stream. If you haven't seen that yet, go check it out. I'm gonna let that stream do most of the talking on this. But I kind of wanted to reiterate because I'm seeing questions about it in chat again here today.
Mm-hmm.
We're still very open about what a true next-gen Ally might look like if and when that time comes for it. Maybe it'll be similar. Maybe we'll have more tiers with totally different form factors. Maybe it'll be something else entirely. It's like we're still open. Tell us what you'd like to see.
Yeah.
Like we're here. I hope if the Ally X proves anything, it's that we're listening. We're really, really listening to you guys. And so
internally we're torn, right? I want 8 inches. You don't, right? There's a lot of different feedback, a lot of different opinions, a lot of different wants. And we want to.
And so not everyone
Yeah.
is necessarily going to get exactly what they want.
Of course.
But we hope that if you guys keep giving us your feedback, that we can kind of compile it. And this is one of the things that I do is I kind of compile the community feedback and I send it to the PMs of the product and say like, okay, here are the most common requests. here are some kind of competing requests that you guys are going to have to decide like which one to go with. Here's my opinion, but they're going to have their own opinions as well, right? And that's kind of how all that like will come together. So yeah, I'm looking forward to more interesting stuff. But really, I'm just looking forward to getting my Ally X tomorrow.
You know why I got mine early? It's because it's my birthday this weekend. They priored me for that. That must be it. That must be it. Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to Jake. How long, Wavy S? Okay, so a couple live questions here. We'll do a couple live questions before we sign off. I'm seeing a couple that I think we can answer. Again, guys, I'm seeing a lot of questions that we answered last time. Go
check part 1.
Check out the last stream. Yeah. How long do you think you could game on the Ally X without your hands hurting versus the original Ally?
I'll let you know.
That's a very personal question because some people
have no problems with
their hands won't hurt at all, right? And some people their hands will hurt right away. Like it depends on how it fits your hands. I have to let you know. I haven't played on it long enough to like know how much longer. Like it's one of those things where I held it and I immediately just went, oh my gosh, this is so comfortable.
I don't think my hands will cramp with the Ally X. My hands cramp after about an hour and a half, 2 hours with the Ally. That's like my limit, just because it's a little small for my I don't want to say Titan hands, but my hands are not small. And yeah, the Ally X feels phenomenal. I don't think that this would ever get uncomfortable for me.
I'm not sure. Maybe I shouldn't say this because it's just going to make me sound so lame. But like I get hand cramps with every single controller on the planet.
Really?
My hands are just too weak. I need to like, I just got to start deadlifting some more and like strengthening up those forearms because like, yeah, my hands cramp up really easily, even with standard game controllers. It's just I think it's just my weak hands. So I don't know how much my opinion necessarily means, but I'll say it this way. The ergonomics of the Ally X are the thing that I'm looking forward to the most. It is the reason that if I didn't work here and I wasn't getting one, I would sell my Ally X sell my Ally and buy an Ally X for the ergonomics alone. The battery is sweet. The more RAM is pretty cool. The ergonomics are the thing that I'm by far the most excited about. It is so comfortable. And you know what? We saw this a lot at Computex too. A lot of people were like, oh yeah, this looks pretty cool. And I saw a lot of media coming in. And then once they held it, they kind of looked at me and they were like, oh dang, dude, you were right.
Yeah.
Like you have to hold it in your hands to like really understand how much of an upgrade it feels like. Because it's hard to explain on paper sometimes. And I know that's our job is to like explain it. Like we're the marketing team. We're trying. Right. But it is hard to do it without. It's one of those things you gotta feel it to believe it.
It's true.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of suggestions in chat as well about features you guys would like for Armory Crate. I'm not going to go through each one individually, but I will say that we see all of that feedback. If you put that feedback on Reddit, in our Discord, etc., we see it. I send it on to the team. Some stuff is doable, some stuff is not. But if you look at the past year's worth of updates in Armory Crate, you will see that we have addressed a lot of the feature requests that people have. In some cases, there was feedback that I thought, oh, that's probably not going to happen. And then I just saw it in an update one day. I was like, holy crap. Our software team has been doing an incredible job. Gordon Cramp Hands. Yeah, okay, that's going to be my new gamer tag.
I'm dropping the Discord link in chat for everyone.
Oh, yes, thank you. Guys, yeah, join our Discord. We're going to close the thread about the Ally. Yeah, the Q&A thread. But that's a great place to get updates. So there's an ROG Ally channel where you guys can talk to other Ally users, ask questions, get tips, whatever. And there's a channel called ROG Ally Updates. And that's where we post like change logs for our software updates, any other announcements that we want to make. Like I don't think we put the 2-year warranty extension there, but that's the kind of place where we would usually make that kind of announcement. I think so. Yeah, definitely go check out our Discord. Keep an eye on that channel. It's a good place if you are an Ally user to keep up to date on everything. But I think that's a good place to cap it off for today. Like I said, I know there are still questions happening in chat, but some of these we aren't able to get answers to yet. Either we're still doing testing for benchmarks, or in a couple cases, the right people just weren't available for some of the really technical stuff. But I have full faith in the Danger Zone folks to figure out that stuff for those who want it. Thank you so much again, guys, for sending in all your questions and for listening to our answers. I hope these two Q&As have been illuminating. These are some of my favorite streams to do because I love being able to have that transparency with the community and like nerd out over this stuff, because man, the amount of stuff that Jake and I have learned about manufacturing a product in the past year has been
bonkers,
crazy.
Like,
yeah,
we knew a little bit more than the public, but after this with the Ally, it's a different beast.
I mean, I used to review products, right? That was what I did before I came here. And I thought I had a basic idea of how these things went down. And like, the fact of the matter is there's so much that I didn't know. From like the way that we have to make decisions to the hidden costs that most people have no idea exist behind the scenes. Just like there's just so much, and of course there are some things we can't talk about because they're confidential or with deal with our partners or something like that. But I try to get you guys as much information as I am able to, so that you guys understand why we made the decisions we made. I'm not one of the people who made the product, but I'm still really proud for the very small role that we had in making this device happen. And I'm so very excited to get it in my hands.
It just feels so cool to be part of something where not just me, but the whole community, I feel like we've been heard. Like the Ally X is that, right? It's all feedback provided by myself, you guys, Whitson, everyone, baked into a product. And I'm going to be showing it off firsthand tomorrow. Ally X first stream. We're going to be playing some games on it live on Twitch and YouTube. So look forward to that. It's going to be my little birthday stream, I guess. Can't wait.
Yeah. As always, guys, if you want even more ROG Ally content, subscribe to the YouTube and Twitch channels. Not only is Jake going to be playing, but we stream this show, ROG Pulse, every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We have plenty more Ally X videos coming. Jake does his game streams on Tuesdays and Fridays usually.
Yep.
But we'll also be doing, walkthroughs of the new Armory crate and all kinds of other stuff.
The new headset we're wearing, the Delta 2.
Next week, we're going to be showing off the new headset, which is not an Ally thing, but it does work with the Ally.
Yeah.
So follow us, follow us on social media, join our Discord, stay up to date with the latest news and announcements. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys next time.